Next is Bhumipravibhagiya Adhyayam Vyakhyasyanah, comparatively less important chapter. Bhumipravibhaga is about studying the geology, the geological effects over the health of the body. Geomedicine or geological medicine is a new branch in the Western system, the current system, and it's not a part of the medical study elsewhere. But for elite students, it's necessary. Now, Shobha, Sharkara, Ashma, Vishama, Valmika, Smashana, Aghata, Aghatana, Devata, Ayatana, Sikatabhi, Anupahatam, Anusha, Anusharam, Abhangvaram, Adura Udakam, Snigdham, Pravohotim, Rudvim, Sthiram, Samam, Krishnam, Gaurim, Rohitam, Bhumim, Oshadgranaya Pariksheta. Now, for collecting the medicines, the medicinal plants, the important is it's not only the identification of the plant which is important, it's also important like the location where the plants are grown and the plants which are grown in an area where the soil is fertile. Now soil should not have caves, soil should not have many big pieces of the broken pots, etc. Or there should not be any fronds, and it should not be from area of the crematorium or area of the temple or area where there was a war. From such area, the plant should not be collected, and the plant should not have plant should be collected in area where there is sufficient water source nearby, and the plant should be still young and then should show tender leaves as such. So such a area and such a plant is collected in. And Krimi Visha Shastra Atapa Pavana Dahana Toya Sambadham Margihi Anubhatam Yekarasam Pushtam Pruthu Avagadam Mulam Udityam Cha Oshadam Adajita Ityeshaha Bhul Pariksha Vishesha Samanyaham. The plant which you collect should not be affected by insects or the other parasites, and it should not have been injured earlier and should not have been burnt or should not have been affected by the environmental factors like breeze, etc. And it should have a full healthy growth as such. So that's about the location and identification of plant where you collect that. Visheshas. So प्रश्नवती स्थिर गुर्वी श्यामा कृष्णावा स्थूल वृक्ष सस्यप्राय स्वगुणभूयिष्ठ स्निग्धा शीतल आसन्नोदक स्निग्ध शस्य तृण कोमल वृक्षप्राय शुक्ल अम्बुगुणभूयिष्ठ नानावर्ण लघु अश्मवती प्रविरल अल्प पाण्डु वृक्ष प्रलोह अग्निगुणभूयिष्ठाः रूक्षाः भस्मरासभवर्णाः तनुवृक्ष अल्परसकोटर वृक्षप्रायाः अनिलगुणाः भूयिष्ठाः. Now, depending upon the type of the soil, they are again classified into mainly the categories depending upon the prominence of these Mahabhuta. When the lands which have the granite stones and hard and have a relatively blackish soil and there are big plants, huge plants, such an area is called as a Bhumi Pradhana, where the Prithvi Mahabhuta is prominent. So when you collect a plant which has to have Prithvi Guna, like Madhura Rasa, that's the area preferable to collect such a plant. The Snigdha Shitala Asanodaka Snigdha Shastrana Komala Vriksha Praya, in the area where there is a Apamahabhuta is prominent, would have a relatively cold environment and the resources of water would be more, there will be plenty of water, and the plants would be of a delicate type like grass or such plants would be there in a Apamahabhuta prominent soil. So the soil is classified according to the Mahabhuta prominence. नानावर्ण लघु अश्मवती प्रविल अल्प पांडु वृक्ष प्रलोह अग्निगुणभूयिष्ठ अग्निगुणभूयिष्ठ this Agni Mahabhuta prominent area, the soil would have multiple colors and the soil would be loose soil and usually the plants would be relatively pale colored plants. They would be presented over there. And Anilaguna, Vata prominent area would have dry soil and the color would be like either bhasma, grey colored soil, and the plants are delicate, thin plants are and dry plants over there, and such a area is called as Anilaguna. Mrudvi, Sama, Shobhavati, Avyaktarasa Jala, Sarvuto, Asara Vriksha, Mahaparvata Vriksha Praya, Shamacha, Akashaguna Bhuishta. Akashaguna Bhuishta area would be having very soft soil, and there would be many nests and animals, the rodent animals live over there. And Abhyaktarasajalaha, you cannot just have appreciate the taste, and the humidity also is lesser. The plants which are grown around are very delicate and do not have any latex there. And there can be many hills as such. Such a area is a Akashaguna Bhuishta. Now, depending upon the soil, globally, the geology, there is a classification of the global soil regions, and the soils are classified into the similar categories like qualities of the soil, starting from the episoils, antisoils, and so on. And we will not go into that much detail. In India, the geographical source of the Geographical Survey of India has classified the soil types in India as the forest soils, black soils, alluvial soils, arid soils, laterite soils, and the locations also are mentioned over. Our coastal area, it has laterite soils, which is mainly Apmahabhuta or the Agni Mahabhuta gunas. The forest soils that has exactly the same description of the Prithvi Mahabhuta. The red and yellow soil, it has mainly the characteristic feature of the Agni Mahabhuta, whereas the aerial soils that has predominant features of Akasha Mahabhuta. So the same whatever is described in Sushruta is also a practical issue which is seen. Of course, the value of this now is mainly in the area of agriculture and horticulture, but it's not a part of the medicine. It's not related to the medical science. So medical science students don't have to read about that in the Western science. Whereas there is another branch of the geology that's called as medical geology. That medical geology is a very new branch. It's an emerging discipline, and it's defined as, it's not a part of our routine medical studies, but it is an emerging branch where it's defined as the public health impact of geological materials and geological processes as such. So, impact of the geology over the health is a new subject for the Western medicine, whereas impact of this geology on the health and the medicine sources is a very established subject in Ayurveda, and probably for the new coming branch, the Ayurvedic principles can give a good guideline. So that's another area, new area of research which can be developed from our side, which can contribute to the medical science globally. The scope and range of medical geology includes identifying and characterizing natural and anthropogenic sources of harmful materials. Now, at present, the focus of medical geology is over the pollution and the harmful effects of the environment. Learning how to predict the movement and alteration of chemical infections and other diseases causing agent over time and space, understanding how the people are exposed to such materials and what can be done to minimize and prevent such exposure. Emerging diseases can present the medical community with many difficult problems. This is the whole aim of the medical geology now. But scope of the geology from Ayurvedic point of view is much vaster than this. It has even the impact on the health, impact on the plant resources, impact on the contents of the medicines also is a subject which is really practically valuable, and this is another area where Ayurvedic principles have a better edge than what the contemporary science has. Now, Kechida Acharya, now the issues more of the detail about value of this is Proud Varsha Sharat Hemant Vasanta Grishmeshu Yatha Sankyam Mula Patra Pak Kshira Sara Palani Adhita Tattu Nasamyak Saumyagnayatvat Jagataha. Now, there is a bit of controversy about when to collect the medicinal plants as such. According to certain acharyas at that period of Sushruta, there was a difference of opinion. Somebody would feel that during the Pravrat Rutu, pre-rain season, the roots had to be collected, rainy season plant leaves have to be collected, and in the Sharad Rutu, the barks of the tree have to be collected. Hemant Rutu, latex has to be collected, and so on. This kind of practice was there. But the Sushruta says that's not true, that's not correct. Instead, it should be Saumyani Aushadhani Saumyeshu Shadhatita Agneyani Agneyenshu Evam Avyapana Gurani Bhavanti. Now, if you are collecting a Shita Dravya, Shita Virya Dravya, Shita Guna Dravya, then it should be in the Shita cold seasons. If you are collecting the Ushna Guna Dravya, it should be in the warm season. It's not about the plant parts as such. So that's what Sushruta says. So that difference of opinion was there exact at that period. Of course, whether these, how far these can be affecting the contents of the plant, the activity of the plant is again another area of studies which are not really done. सौम्यानि औषधानि सौम्य श्रुतिषु गृहीतानि सोमगुणं भूयिष्ठायां भूमौ जातानि अतिमधुरस्निग्धशीतानि जायन्ते एतेन शेषं व्याख्यातम्. If you collect a Shita Gunadravya, Shita Virya Dravya in a cold season and from a cold area, like the area which has a predominantly up Mahabhuta, then the quality would be much better than the other way. And similarly, you have to understand the same. तत्र पृथिवी अमुगुण भूयिष्ठायां भूमौ जातानि विरेचन द्रव्याणि आदतीता. If it is a Vilajana Dravya, it's better to collect the plants from the zones, geological zones, which have either Prithvi Guna or Ambu Guna. Whereas Vamana Dravyani, Agni Akasha Maruta Guna Bhuistaya Vamana Dravyani. If we are collecting medicine for Vamana, it should be from the area where the Agni Akasha or Vata Guna are more prominent. So where the humidity content would be lesser, Prithvi and Ambuguna, the humidity content will be more. So that's the basic idea. Ubhayaguna Bhuishtayam Ubhayaka Bhagani, the Shodhana Chikitsa, other than Shodhana Chikitsa, then it has to be from the any of the zones depending upon the qualities. Akashana Guna Bhuishtayam Samshamanani, Evam Balavatarani Bhavanti. In the Akashaguna Bhuishta area, Samshamana Dravyas are to be collected, and this would have an extra edge over the advantages, the beneficial effects of the plant. Now, this is another controversial issue, like collection of the plant from which area and how it has to grow. In the present day situation where we grow the plants in an artificial environment, where you will have all that conditioned environment conditions and grow the plants over there, whether this would be really medicinal useful or not, or whether the medical utility of that plant would be same as the natural resource. These are all the question marks. Or now you have another problem, genetically modified plants which can resist these environmental effects and can grow in any area, where that geographical considerations may not be the primary issues, whether they would have the same medicinal effect or not. So these are all the controversial issues. I may not have a definite answer for that, but that's an area where a study needs to be done. Sarvani eva abhinavani anyatra madhu guda pipali bidangebhya. In general, the plants which are to be collected for preparing the medicine should be fresh, except, Sushruta gives an exception, madhu, the honey, it should be old, ghrita, ghee should be old, guda, jaggery, and pipali and bidanga, the seeds of pipali and bidanga, they have to be old. That's stored for a year. Otherwise, they may not have the same effect. Fresh may not have the same effect. Bidangam pipali kshodram sarpishchapya navam hitam shesham anyatva abhinavam gruniya doshavartitam. Same is repeated in the form of shloka as such. Sarvani eva sakshirani viryavanti. Now, as whenever you collect a fresh plant, the latex of the plant has to be preserved. The latex should not be allowed to be leaked out. Tesham asampattau atikranta samatsarani adadita. If you are not able to get these old ones, like pipali, vidanga, etc., then the plants which are having or which are stored for more than 1 year, they should not be used other than guda pipali, etc. Bhavanti chatra gopalaha tapasaha vyathaha ye cha anye vanacharinaha मूलाहारश्च एतेभ्यो भेषज व्यतिरिक्ष्यते. To know and identify the plants, you will have to take the help of the natives. Natives who could be the cowherds or who could be tapasaha, those who are dwelling in the forest area with during tapas, vyadhaha, the hunters or Varacharinaha, any other persons who are living in the this forest area or Mulaharashtra. In those days, there was another custom. Some of the people, some community, would be living only on the roots, taking the food of the roots only. That kind of a community was there. At present, we don't know such a people like, and to get the identity of the plants, get the resources of the plant, and to guide you in the forest area, you may take the help of these people. सर्वावयसाद्येषु पलाशलवणादिषु व्यवस्थितो न कालोऽस्ति तत्र सर्वो विषीयते. Now, in those plants where all the plant panchangas of the plants are to be used, you can collect the plant anytime. There is no need of bothering about the time. This is what one opinion at that period. गंधवर्ण रसोपेताः षड्विधाः भूमिरिष्यते तस्मात् भूमि स्वभावेन बीजिनः षड्रसायुताः. So the earth or soil is classified into 6 categories, and based upon that, the plants would also have the 6 rasas. Again, a bit controversial issue whether the rasa or the taste of the plant is totally dependent on soil or not, or how far it is dependent. That's another of the issue question mark. अव्यक्तकिलतो यस्य रसो निश्चयनिश्चितः रसस्य एव च अव्यक्तो व्यक्तो भूमिरसात् भवेत्. Basically, water doesn't have a taste on its own, but depending upon the soil where the water is there, the water also may have some taste. Avyakta or Vyakta rasa could be seen in the water, and the taste of the water could be the guideline to decide which is the taste of the soil. So, soil taste also involves the test of the water because of soluble substances. Soluble substances in the soil, they may have a part of the water resources, and hence they can affect the taste of the water. सर्वलक्षण संपन्ना भूमि साधारणा स्मृता द्रव्याणि यत्र तत्रैव तद्गुणानि विशेषतः. Now, what we have discussed in the beginning is about the 5 types of the soil. The 6th type is Sarvalakshana Sampanna. So, when Sushil says 6 types, that the 6th type is Sarvalakshana Sampanna, where you have the features of all the Mahabhutas, and such a land is soil is called as Sadharana area, and Tatra, such plants which are grown over those areas, they would have all the qualities. They would be having the qualities of all Mahabhutas. विगंधेन अपरामृष्टम अविपन्नम रसादिभिः नवम द्रव्यम पुराणम व ग्राह्यम एवं विनेति चेत. So you have to select a plant which is either fresh or old, and which doesn't have any other extra smell, and which is not affected by the insects, should be collected as per the methodology. जंगमानां वयस्थानां रक्तलोमनखादिकं क्षीरमूत्रपुरेशाणि जीर्णाहारेषु संहरेत्. When it is collecting the medicinal resources from the animals, and animals, it should be like either it could be any parts of the animals like blood or the hairs or the nails of the animals or milk or even urine of the animals are could be used. And whenever you collect these resources from the animal resource, select an animal which is have mature, which has matured in life, not very young or not very old. Young animals have to be collected, and it should be collected after the digestion of the food by the animal. So if you are sacrificing the animal, it should be after the digestion of the food of the animal, or if you are collecting the resources in a living animal like milk, etc., it also should be after the food is digested by that animal. Plota, mrudbhanda, palaka, shanku, vinyasta bheshidam, prashastayam, dishi, shuchau, bheshidagaram, shete. The collected medicinal resources could be any of that. It could be the leaf, root, or maybe the animal products, etc. They should be collected, covered by a cloth, and should be in a earthen soil or earthen pot. It should be kept in a proper manner and should be protected by the doors, layers of doors, or such any of the physical structures which could protect that. The plants should be kept in a proper manner, and should not be exposed to the sunlight, so it should be in a precious position and should be clean. That's the area where the plants have to be stored. Now that's one area. Now another serious issue now which we have to consider is the climate change and impact on the plant compounds. It's now well known the chemical contents of the plants are changing significantly because of the climate change. And one of the very concerning area is the contents present in the physical or physiological constituents of the body, both in animals as well as the plants, is changing because of the climate change. And whether the same effects which are mentioned in the text are seen now or not is another big question mark. And lots of studies are being done about this issue. Nothing concrete has come out, but it's an area of concern. With this, we'll conclude, and this is relatively short chapter, so we'll conclude it early. इति सुश्रुतसंहितायां सूत्रस्थाने भूमिप्रविभागीयो नाम षट्त्रिंशोऽध्यायः. The impact of environmental factors on the quality of medical plants were studied in detail in ancient times. So we'll stop at this moment because we have concluded with the one chapter. If there are any questions, fine. Right. There are no questions, so we'll wind up today.
Thank you, sir.
Right.